Recording.
Computer, yeah. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here. This is the Elder Abuse Virtual Coalition podcast. And today we're going to be talking to Dr. Larry Force and AnnMarie Maglione about the significance of human interaction. With specifically right now, we're going to be focusing a little bit on the toll of loneliness and isolation. So welcome.
Well, thank you.
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic.
And really,
I'm
thank you.
really interested on getting your opinion on something that's been going through everybody's mind right now. It's affecting everybody from people with elders in their lives to people with children in their lives. And I think your insight is going to help a lot of people navigate this time.
Well, thank you, Elisa, and thank you for facilitating and moderating this. A little bit about how we arrived here. My name is Dr. Larry Force, and I'm a professor of psychology at Mount St. Mary College and co-director of the Center on Aging and Disability Policy. My colleague and friend, AnnMarie Maglione, is the director of the Orange County Office for Aging. And I don't know, I would say, AnnMarie, what, about 10 years ago at this point, 9 years ago, how long, we started to collaborate.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Right, and the idea of, bringing together both an academic institution with students and a government agency dealing with aging issues. And we've worked on a number of projects, and one of the projects we've worked on is the issue of elder abuse awareness. And how we arrived here is that we've had a history of doing some work with elder abuse awareness. And from that, we've had other conversations with St. Luke's, Cornwall. And the next thing you know, our commitment is to increase the awareness of elder abuse, but we're doing it in a new environment now. Mm-hmm. So in talking with AnnMarie and then talking with Elisa, the idea is, how do we go about getting the content that we have out there? And what percolated to the surface is that we would do it through technology. So the intent here is, and we'll talk more about this as we go through our discussion today, but this is a 10-week program where we're going to be bringing together a group of experts in the field of aging and the field of elder abuse. And Elisa Gwilliam, who is the moderator and also the owner of the Hudson Valley Healing Center, has agreed to facilitate this. So we really appreciate that, Elisa. So AnnMarie, can I ask you for the introduction as well?
Yeah, thank you. I'm thrilled to be part of this coalition and this partnership. As Dr. Force said, we've been talking about this for many years. There's a huge issue of elder abuse and scams and loneliness and isolation, and it truly is an epidemic. Little did we know that we are going to be dealing with this during a pandemic, which is just heightening the issues here. And I'm thrilled that we've been able to compile the best of the best to really deal with this and deal with it in a unique way, because our world is now very unique. We don't know what's going to be coming. We don't know when we come out of this what our new world is going to be. I think it's going to be bigger and better, and I think things like this are going to be very helpful. It's a very difficult time for everybody, but especially for older adults. It's a very, very difficult, lonely, scary time, and we're here to just help them through this and to know that they're not alone.
And I think the thing that you'll hear as throughout the 10-week series is the fact that this is a lifespan issue as well. As you were talking, I was thinking about, the other projects that we've worked on together. And I have another colleague and friend of AnnMarie and Elisa's is Dr. Jeffrey Kahana. And I remember traveling through Orange County when we were doing the training on how to be a smart patient.
So important, so useful, so helpful.
And AnnMarie, although we are in different arenas, we've heard the same thing. I mean, other academic institutions are they're very impressed about the relationship that we have with a government agency and the collaborative work we do. And I know that you have said, in working in your AAA, your Area Agency on Aging Network, that people are so impressed that you have this relationship with an academic institution. And it's a natural fit.
Yeah.
Because I know that both AnnMarie and I are committed to the fact that the students that are in front of us going to be the caregivers for all of us, and going to be present for all of us. And
our future leaders, not only our caregivers, but they're going to be the ones that are going to be setting policy and making decisions. So this is, I see as the foundation moving forward to assist them in doing what they need to do.
And Alyssa had mentioned about the theme of today's discussion about, human interaction, the importance of it, social isolation. This is a new world for all of us. In many ways, people look at this as, this is a conflict, and absolutely it's a conflict. Absolutely, it's devastating. But I've had discussions with other people, one person in particular, who is affiliated with Alyssa's Healing Center, and his name is Justin Logan, and he goes by, he's very much involved with Kundalini Yoga and mindfulness, and he goes by the name of Ram Dass. And he said that this is really a time of rebirth, and it's an opportunity for rebirth. And I think if you think personally and talking with, my collective friends, everybody at this point is trying to reorganize how they do business. And AnnMarie, you mentioned the idea that, how when we go back, I don't think we're ever going back to the way it was. I mean, we're going to have less, social restriction, but it's never going to go back, because I think this has changed the way that we do business in so many arenas.
I absolutely agree with you that we are going to have a new normal. And I think this is going to help us walk through that new normal, because, you have all of these stressors and anxiety, and now you have a new normal, and change is hard for everybody. So this is a really good tool to help people with that also.
Right. And I think, I was thinking the other day about what happens if we didn't have the technological support that we have present.
Yeah.
How would that, what would we talk about being completely isolated?
Yeah.
And there are families out there, we're working on another project, the Proactive Caring Project, and we're working with parents that have children with special needs. Okay. And the fact is that, yes, the school districts are being present for children, but some children with special needs will never sit in front of a computer. So now we're talking about, we're fast forwarding to an older population. And what do we find with an older population? Not only are families reconfiguring and, readjusting, but what about a person that has a family member with some type of cognitive impairment, Alzheimer's disease or dementia? So maybe you could just talk for a moment about some of the things that, you're being present for right now. What are some of the concerns that you're hearing from people, about how to go about addressing some of the specific needs that they're bringing to your table?
The need is great, and it's, I'm trying to think of it as a positive, because people are reaching out saying that they need help. That's the first step. A lot of times people suffer in silence, especially the older adults. They're very, I'm okay, give it to somebody else that needs it. I'll struggle through, World War II, Korean War vets, they're a hardy breed, and nobody has to. So the fact that they're reaching out, I see as a positive thing, but it's loneliness and it's isolation. For Easter, my daughter and I were by ourselves. That I was going to host Easter for 20 people for my family. The fact that we were able to Zoom last night and talk to each other was very, very comforting. So the fact that we live in this time when we have this technology is very helpful. It's going to be helpful to us to help other people. But we're dealing with caregivers that are stressed to the limit. Some have lost their jobs. And their care receiver is picking up on their stressors, which is then kind of exacerbating things. I will tell you, never in my life did I think that we would be seeing that people need food, like the basic necessities are, for some people, are not being taken advantage, are not being addressed. And so when you have that, other things happen. You start losing your temper. You start getting afraid. You start scamming. You know, my real fear is there's 10 million people that are out of work right now, but there's one group of people that are still getting a paycheck the first week of the month, and that's Social Security. So that's a big issue. And I always feel that education and awareness and just, you know, all these dirty little secrets, you know, get them out from under the rug, talk about it. That's how we can solve things. And communication. So we have a variety of tools. The county, before the pandemic, started a Think Differently coalition. And what it is exactly that. It's thinking differently and looking at everybody's abilities and not disabilities. So that's been very helpful. We're putting that into place. But really, it's just people wanting to interact and talk. Some people will call me saying that they want a meal, and I'll end up talking to them on the phone for 15 minutes, and they feel better afterwards. We've started handing out these robotic animals, cats and dogs, for people with Alzheimer's and dementia. And they're very, very lifelike. And if you're isolated at home, it's proven to be, we're social animals. So people want to interact with people. So we do that. We're doing grief.com. What we're doing is we're acknowledging their feelings, and then we're talking them through it.
And what is grief.com?
So grief.com is New York State Office for the Aging has that up there, and there's all these tools and resources that you can go to if you're not feeling well, if you're feeling isolated or lonely or, you know, suicidal. You know, you can go to that, and they'll give you resources that you can go to. We are starting our support groups, you know, are now, we can't meet, but we're starting next week. We're going to start doing virtual ones, and we're going to be doing Zoom calls, because again, sometimes if you just talk to people and say, we're both in this, we're going to get through this together, it makes people feel better.
You know, you mentioned the reference to the social animal, and that brought back a memory. That was one of my first textbooks that I read in the area of social psychology by a fellow named Elliot Aronson. And one of the things that he talked in there about the fact is that is exactly who we are, you know, social animals, the fact of the importance of connecting. And I was reading, you know, a number of news articles and professional articles as well now that about the increase in domestic violence as a result of this, and the increase of violence. And when you look at, you know, how that presents itself, you know, whether it be, you know, early in the lifespan for child abuse or later in the lifespan for elder abuse, what's the underlying issue? The underlying issue is stress. And these are real stressors. Okay, there are people that, you know, are out there that are being bombarded from so many different levels, not only about the fact of being socially contained, but also about the fact of loss of jobs. And I think the one takeaway that we want to give people is that everything passes. And we're not minimizing it. Everything passes, and you don't have to do this alone. And the whole purpose of this, you know, outreach here, this elder abuse awareness, this virtual coalition, is to let you know that you don't have to do this alone. And you have people and agencies like AnnMarie. You have people and organizations like Elisa that, you know, are experts in developing and presenting programs, whether it be, you know, AnnMarie being a tremendous, you and your staff, and I'm not just saying this because of the fact that we're doing this Zoom video. I've told you this privately. Throughout New York State, there are 59 AAAs, okay? You are a true leader, okay? And I mean that. You know, your enthusiasm, your staff, I mean, you know, in the words of my ancestors, you guys are the real deal.
Thank you.
And the fact is that you're always out there advocating. As you get to meet other members of our virtual coalition, you know, you're going to find, you know, advocates. You're going to find people that are representing government. You're going to find people that are going to lace in things along the lines of, you know, meditation, you know, and you know, Alyssa, I know that, you know, the role that you've taken is as facilitator and moderator. But I think we'd be missing a big point if you didn't talk a little bit about some of the practical tools that people can do now, you know, in a mindful way. Because I heard this quote and I really like it. You have to learn how to respond rather than react.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
And I think all three of us put together have tried so hard to get people who would normally find themselves in a state of loneliness or isolation out of their house and engaging with people. And since the global pandemic, we've been telling people to stay away and stay at home. And I really wanted to get your opinion on it. I can talk about what the center is doing, and we've taken the stand to put all of our classes on YouTube for free. So there wasn't a financial obligation for anyone to meet them. So they're still seeing the same faces they see around here. And whether it's a private therapy practice that went from in-person, seeing them, to online, or the vets being told to stay home, or elderlies, or the centers that are closing or are temporarily closed. How have you found the global pandemic to play into isolation?
well, I mean, I can address it from the psychological perspective. It's there's this connection between thinking, behavior, and actions.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of this, pandemic, our behavior and actions are different. As a result of that, that influences our thinking as well. And I think that, we have to find new ways to entertain ourselves during this time.
Yeah.
And what I mean by entertain, I mean by engaging.
Mhm.
We know that, look, the whole psychological thing about a productive life is one that's surrounded with purpose and meaning. And I think that, this is an opportunity for people to reevaluate purpose and meaning, the purpose and meaning of their own lives. What do they find of value? I know personally, I've come across things, in my home that I forgot I even owned, and the next thing you know, I'm re-engaging with them. Whether they be, it's not like I forgot that I owned an exercise, workout equipment, but instead of going to a gym, now I find myself still going through the ritual, okay,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not driving someplace. So in the morning when I get up, I try to exercise every single morning, okay, and that includes all the rituals that I did. I'm not carrying my gym bag downstairs. But the fact is that, there are things the patterns that I try to duplicate in order to keep some type of familiarity with the rhythm of what I feel comfortable with.
Right.
We talked offline. I think, all of us, are reorganizing our day. I talked to somebody this morning. They said the interesting thing about this is that the boundaries between work and family life have been blurred, and she finds herself working longer and harder each and every day because of the fact that she has access to this technology. But AnnMarie, maybe you could address that from the program side.
Yeah, we are like everyone else. We're doing things differently now. We've had a booming Tai Chi classes throughout the county. And we have people in our office. I was supposed to finish getting certified so that I could do it. Now, everything obviously is put on hold. So we've actually done some YouTubes that people can look at, and they can do the Tai Chi at home, because I think exercise is very important. That's one of the really big things that you can do. We've also really encouraged people to do a gratitude journal. I think that that's very, very important. I talk to people, and I kind of let them vent about everything that they're worried about and upset about, and what are they going to do. And when they're all done, I say, I want you to tell me 3 things you're grateful for. And it may be that, what, a roof over my head, or, I've got food in my refrigerator. And I said, every day you have to wake up and you have to write at least one thing that you're grateful for, because that's going to be a positive thing. That's going to get you through this. If you just think of the doom and gloom, it's going to get worse and worse. And we are going to get out of this. So we talk about that. We talk about we have people, we do friendly visitor calls. We can't do friendly visitors anymore, but we do friendly calls. And we say, how are you doing? Hey, did you see that new show on Netflix? Isn't that crazy? We just talk about things like that. Again, social interaction. If there is a case that looks like there's some adult abuse, You know, we partner with Adult Protective Services, which I know that Tim Murphy is going to be on. He's the best of the best in the field. So we address things. So we're just doing it a little bit differently now. We've got to think out of the box on how we're going to be different.
And I think the takeaway, you know, from what you're saying is that you're open for business.
Absolutely.
I mean, yes, people are working remotely, but if there is an incident of any type of concern or hint of abuse, and abuse need not, you know, when we talk about abuse and elder abuse awareness, it's not just about physical abuse.
Right.
It's about psychological abuse. It's about the whole idea of financial abuse.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Emotional, psychological. Yeah, there's all different types of abuse. And financial abuse is a big issue right now.
So if somebody was going to try to reach out, what would be the best way to reach out to you or to your office?
Always through our single point of entry, our New York Connects, which is 845-615-3710. It rings right in my home. I can pick it up. You can email me if you're more comfortable with that, which is AMaglione@orangecounty.gov.com. We'll have that online also if you want to go to our website, where we'll have all the information about this new coalition that we're doing, which is www.orangecounty.gov.com. Click on department. I like to say we're number one, not because we start with A, but it's aging. Click on and you'll have all the information.
Wonderful.
Great resource, AnnMarie.
Yes, for sure. And my email is force@msmc.edu. So it's force@msmc.edu. And Elisa,
Yeah.
yes, and Elisa, could you provide your contact information too for your website?
Absolutely. It's ELISA@HudsonValleyHealingCenter.com.
Great. So you can see what the intent is. The intent today was to be able to launch what we have collaborated on over the period of time, and now we're doing on a virtual platform. And it's the Elder Abuse Awareness Virtual Coalition. And you're going to see you know, Alyssa can give you the details of how this will be presented, you know, on a weekly basis. But this is really a tremendous opportunity for us to take the material that we have and be able to disseminate it. But more importantly than the material, it's an opportunity for us collectively to be able to say to people, you don't have to do this alone, and we're here for you. And the fact is, you can contact us from a variety of different ways. So Alyssa, maybe you might want to talk about the process.
Absolutely. So to rehear today's program, you can go to our YouTube channel at Elder Abuse Virtual Coalition. You can also follow us on our website, elderabusevirtualcoalition.com. And you can check out our Facebook page, where we'll have events, we'll have the links to our YouTube weekly series, and we'll also have articles and public service announcements.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to say that we are all doing this. It's a coalition, but this is for the people too. So when you go on our Facebook page, when you go on our Instagram, or if you're going to email us, tell us what you want. Tell us what you need. Because, you know, we've done some research, we think we know, but everybody's unique, and this is yours, and we're here to help you. So if you have something going on in your life, let us know, because more than likely it's going to help other people too.
Oh, thank you. That's great.
Wonderful recommendation.
Well, thank you both for being here this week and for kicking us off on a good note.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Awesome takeaway.
Yep.
All right. And next week, AnnMarie will be joining us again, where her and I will be sitting down and talking about the role of the aging community plays. And I'm looking forward to that one as well. We will see you both in the near future.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Guys.
All right.